couple commands you have to first do. First, you have to enable your HTTP engine. Alright? Then you have to allow HTTP connections. Then you have to create a username and a password. So, HTTP server, enable. HTTP, you have to tell it what network is allowed to make HTTP connections. In this case, I'm going to make the inside network, which is the 10.0.0.0 network. And I have to tell it which interface that is. That's the inside interface. Come on, work. Thank you. Then I have to tell the firewall what ASDM.bin file to use. Now, even though there's only one there, I still have to tell it. So ASDM image flash, and then whatever there is, flash / ASDM, and I'm just hitting tab complete. Makes life a lot nicer. Enter. And that's, oh, I have to use the username and password. Have you used it? Nope. So user name, Dr. Brown, password, tacos.
So you don't do secret on ASAs?
No, because it's automatically encrypted in an ASA. Good question, though. Good question. That's it. Do right now. Now, check it out. I bring up my web browser, and I type in HTTPS. Let me disconnect from the network, otherwise it won't work. 10.0.0.1. We'll do all this stuff. Right? You can hit the install the ASDM launcher. You can run ASDM from here, or you can run the startup wizard. Sometimes it's better to just run the ASDM from the host itself. It'll initiate Java. It should come back and ask you for your username and password. Java works. Java sometimes a fickle so-and-so. I already have an ASDM installed on my computer, so I'm just going to run it there. There we go. Ah, now the first one pops up. So from here I can run, just put my username in, brown tacos. It authenticates me, and it starts loading the GUI. There we go. Now, this is picking up all the other different firewalls that I manage in all kinds of places. Right? But here on the left, excuse me, here on the right is the actual ASA that we're looking at. Okay? My ASDM version. Look at my, I can get all kinds of cool stuff. I can enable syslogging and statistics with a click of a button. The configuration button, and I can look at how I have the firewall configured. So I can go to device setup. I can look at my interfaces. There's all my interfaces. You see their names. Hey, I want to change the name of my interface. Click edit. Change it right there. I can change the IP address. I can change the subnet mask. Right? A lot of students really like this versus the command line. Okay? But here's the catch-22. If you don't know the command line, you can't set this up. Now, the reason I teach ASDM, one, I've gotten a little bit lazier in my old age. Two, it's really good to use for VPN setup. Okay, and that's why I start introducing it when I teach cryptography. Okay, so let's take this for example. Let's say that I want to create a VPN on the outside, so if I put another PC up here to VPN in, and in a couple of minutes I'm just going to kind of finish this up tonight. Say I want to set up a remote access VPN. Okay? I can do this in a couple different ways. The easiest way I can do it, I can either, well, first I can come here to remote access VPN, and I can configure everything, you know, one at a time. Not too unlike doing it in the command line. Or I can come up here to the wizard. VPN wizard. There's a few different ones. There's the IPsec, clientless SSL VPN, the AnyConnect, and the site-to-site. AnyConnect is a specific type of VPN that the user can download from the ASA. Okay, it's kind of like the new improved client. The IPsec remote access VPN is the old style Cisco VPN client that you can download from the web page. And then the clientless SSL VPN is a way that you can make a web-based VPN. Okay, where you go to a web page and then you can click on link, and then those specific links that you create will point that user in specific directions. Right? Specific directions. So let's go ahead and just do a simple IPsec VPN. Oh no, Java, yeah, allow access. Give me my password. There we go. Okay, so the wizard will walk you through step by step how to set the VPN. You basically have to just answer some questions. Where is it gonna face? It's gonna, in this case, face the outside interface. You want to enable inbound IPsec sessions to bypass interface access list. This is basically your no-NAT policy. You want to keep that one checked. What type of client are you going to use? VPN client, Microsoft Windows client. Okay? Use that if you're going to use the Cisco client. What's your pre-shared key? This is your symmetric pre-shared key. For the purposes, and only for the purposes of the educational environment, I'm just going to make it Cisco. 1, so I don't forget. 2, so you guys don't have to overthink this. But typically, this is where you would make this sucker like 20 randomized characters and make it really secure. Record it, put it into like a password wallet so you don't forget it, because it can be kind of a pain to come back and figure out later on. If you're going to make it non-symmetric, if you're going to make it asymmetric, I should say, asymmetric, this is where you would set up a certificate. The ASA can work with a self-generated certificate. You can do your own self-signed certificate. Or you can incorporate a certificate that you get from GoDaddy into the ASA. Okay? It's going to ask you what the certificate name is. You can browse for it, load it. You have to do that. That's an additional step that you have to do before you do the wizard. Oh, and I have to name the group. This is the group policy that is going to get created. So I'm just going to call this CIS 467 as my group. I'm going to authenticate using the local database, but I could also point it at attack AXA or radius server. So I have one user in there already. I can add other users if I like. Okay. I do not have a DHCP pool. If I had one, I could select one. But I can create one. I'm just going to call it VPN pool. Starting address 10.0.0. Say 100. At 10.0.0. 125. So net mask. Good. I can give it my DNS server. Let's just give it a random one here. Wins, secondary wins, default domain. Okay, fill that in if you like. You can also keep it blank. NAT. To expose the entire network behind the most secure interface to remote VPN users without NAT, leave the exempt networks field blank. Okay? To expose the entire network, leave it blank. So I'm going to expose the entire network. I do want to enable split tunneling to let remote users have simultaneous encrypted access to the resources defined above and unencrypted access to the internet. This is what's going to allow them to use their local internet connection versus coming into the tunnel, using my internet connection, and then going back out the end. It significantly, let me emphasize this, significantly increases the performance for the end VPN user. And reduces the amount of help desk calls too. Then you choose your Diffie-Hellman group. I actually like to go with Diffie-Hellman group 2. That seems to get a little bit better performance. Oops. Thank you for that. to expose some of my networks. So I basically have to tell it what networks are going to have access. What networks are going to have access. So I want it to have access to the 10 network, and I want to have it have access to the DMZ. That's it. And that's about it. You click finish. I'm done. So now, if I were to test this, I would have to set up another cloud connection and then test it inbound, which we will save for next week because class is about over. Okay? So next week, I'm going to do a